That's right, and that's a taster of what you could be listening to if you go to soundcloud.com/Sombreroville. And speaking of which, we've got the man himself, who is a film student that's currently studying at Glasgow University. He's just come back from Canada not too long. And of course, he's been dabbling in a bit of soundtrack composing over the last wee while. You might remember him last year on the Friday Night Lounge as being one component of Streetlight. And he's now branching out into his own solo works, looking at ambient and electronic music, as long as with a touch of acoustic as well. And as his Facebook page says, new surroundings, new people and old friends are some of his influences. And we're going to talk a wee bit more about that with Ross, who is actually in the studio just now. So Ross, welcome back to the Friday Night Lounge.
Thank you, Matthew. It's good to be here.
Good to be here. And, well, you're in the perfect place because, well, it's absolutely miserable out there.
It really is. It's not stopped raining since I got back, I don't think.
Oh.
Yeah, it's been pretty bad.
Unlike in Canada, of course.
They're having a really scorching summer where I was. Yeah, so I'm a bit jealous. I could have stayed there a little bit longer.
Clearly not biased, of course.
Of course not.
And now, why did you decide to branch out into doing soundtrack composing?
I think it was just an idea. Like I've always wanted to have a bash at it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like I just kind of like there was not even anyone like around me who was kind of trying that kind of thing.
All right.
It was just one day, obviously, like I learn about films in my course, and and then you start to pay attention to different things, and then I started to pay attention to soundtracks in particular and how they can affect what you're seeing. A soundtrack can really make or break a film. Mm-hmm. And so, I considered myself a musician, so I thought, I'd give it a bash, and yeah.
And when exactly during your studies what moment made you think, maybe I could have a go at this?
It was actually towards the end of my second year. So it's like a good few months before I went to Canada. And we were working on this. It was actually a theatre project, and I got put in charge of music and sound. There was like a group of musicians there, and we came up with some stuff for the piece, and we played it live, and it really had a big effect on the performance as a whole. And that's probably the moment when I thought, I could get used to this. It's fun, It's something I really enjoyed.
You got some fantastic music up there, and we just played one of those ones. It's called The Slope. Now, tell me more about The Slope and the sort of making behind it.
You know what? It was made on a train on the way back from the east coast of Canada. I'd been out there visiting a friend in this small town called Matapedia, which is like it only had like 700 people in it. And I was on my way back. There was no Wi-Fi on the train, so I might as well be making music on my laptop. And all it is it's literally there's only about 4 or 5 loops in the entire song, and it was just really fun, just kind of playing about with that. So much you can actually do, editing the sound, slowing loops down, speeding them up to make up different rhythms and stuff, and it was just a kind of puzzle that somehow came together, and just fiddling about with it.
And the puzzle did sound quite fun, didn't it, doing that? It's an amazing thing with editing. It seems like a chore, but at the same time it can be a very fun jigsaw puzzle depending on what you're working on.
Absolutely, I completely agree. Yeah, I mean, it is a pain to kind of sit down and go through it. It's like, I just want to be finished, but it's that taking that time that really makes a difference to your work. And
exactly. I could probably identify with you on the editing side of things. I mean, it can be an absolute pain to go and edit massive amounts of audio, but when you hear the end result, it's possibly one of the most satisfying things you could ever have.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you've obviously not too long back from Canada. You've only just been back from Canada for about a month.
Yep.
Canada has influenced you not only as a person, but within your music as well.
Yeah, I suppose so. I don't know. I think it's more to do with the fact that I had a lot of not that I was working out there, I was studying, but I did have a lot of time to myself, like kind of in my room, and I had a guitar. I bought a digital recorder, so it was time to get some ideas down. And there were like people who I spoke to and like who I jammed with sometimes, and like that can give you new ideas. And I was listening to their music, they were listening to my music, you know, and like we have different tastes, different bands and stuff. So yeah, it definitely had an influence being in a new surrounding. And
would you say, is there any other things that would have influenced you, apart from some of your influences that include Coldplay, Fleet Foxes are the obvious answers, but was there anything else that did really inspire you in terms of your style and your approach to soundtrack composing?
I think my love for electronic music grew a lot. Over the course I was there, you know. Actually, before I went out, I bought I think it was like 40-track dubstep compilation, and you know, it was something that I'd kind of flirted with before, and then I started to really listen. And it is difficult to listen to at first, but then you kind of get used to it, and you kind of see that, you know, these guys have a real talent. You know, like it's, you know, it's not everyone's cup of tea.
Yeah.
But I really appreciated their kind of the production quality and the musicianship that's behind it. It's incredible. And, you know, it's a growing kind of genre, and it's exciting.
And you've been doing this for a wee while, and some of your earlier stuff, I think there was more of a sort of acoustic bass. You even actually did, I think, although it's not as acoustic as some of the other ones, but there was one track that I remember you were telling me that it was specifically designed as a relaxation track for your mum. Could you tell me a bit more about that?
Oh man, yeah, that's right. My mum approached me with an offer. She was doing it. She does kind of children's yoga and kind of stuff like that, and like Reiki, spiritual healing. And she wanted to have a track that she may or may not use. And like she just asked me because she knew that I was kind of working away on that kind of ambient stuff, and she kind of liked a few things that I played her, and then she just sat me down and asked me, and I was glad to kind of help out. Yeah, it was good. It was a good challenge, like kind of setting yourself a target before you start recording something. Yeah. So it doesn't always usually work like that for me, but it did on that occasion, and it turned out okay.
Setting a challenge with a target, that sounds like not your average.
No.
We'll save that for another time, I think. But did she actually end up using that?
You know what? I think she might have. Or like
you never asked her?
Sure. I don't know what my mum does. Like, no, that sounds terrible. No, I think I think she did, but it was a shorter version than the one I recorded. Right. I accidentally recorded like 5 minutes of this, and I was like, wow, like that's probably a bit boring, but you know, it was meant to be boring. You know what I mean? So music can have so many different functions, and so
just gives that deliberate effect. Of course, we're just now we can come on to your more recent stuff, which is that you've got a 15-track album in the works. Now you're getting through quite a bit of that already.
I have about 4. About 4 that, you know, 2 are probably finished, like completely, and then one's almost finished, and then one's like another one's kind of almost finished. So I'm just kind of getting into the swing of things, and you know, just I've actually recently kind of like with these 4 tracks, I took a lot of time with them. So they were like kind of the first batch, kind of, and I had to like set myself a pretty high standard as well, because I'd been playing about for a while, and I thought, you know, this is my time to kind of sit down and really go at it, and really find myself like a standard that I can compare other work against, like my own work against. And if it's not good enough, then, you know, I would then know, you know, it's not good enough to put out there. So I want my best work out there. So. And
when you say that, is it just basically a cue to say that okay, it's time to go to the next level?
Yeah, I don't see why not. I mean, I've been doing this for off and on for about a year and a half.
Is there any specific themes with this behind this album, or is it a collation of various ideas that are coming together in this one album?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of different stories behind the album. I've got a lot of stories, obviously, from my time away. So there's a couple of themes, like kind of at, I guess one of the main ones is like I was kind of at peace out there, you know. It was an exciting time in my life, but like it I felt pretty at home, over there. And it's just a kind of, so you've got kind of songs that are kind of nice to listen to. Hopefully, nice to listen to. And then other times when I was like, I recently wrote one. It's a kind of bluesy kind of rock number. About the time where my bank failed me in San Francisco, I had no money and I had very little time to do stuff, and I was very frustrated. So that hopefully comes across in that song. But
and when you were mentioning that, this album is actually about, you also did a bit of a North American tour, as it were.
I did.
After your time in Canada,
and it was a tour for 3 weeks. I'll just quickly outline it. So I went from Kingston, where I was in Canada, went to Boston, all the way up to Vancouver, to Portland, Seattle, Santa Cruz, San Francisco, over to South Dakota, to Chicago, to New York, and then to Toronto, and then flew home to Glasgow.
Cover the bases effectively
in 3 weeks. So,
3 weeks.
Yeah,
now that is quite a challenge, I must say. Would you go back to Canada?
Yeah, absolutely, in a heartbeat.
In a heartbeat.
I'll be back there.
Fantastic. And finally, penultimate question, by the way. Let's get this one right.
Yeah.
Streetlights kickstarting again?
Yes, we are.
Is that what you're going to reveal? Is that what you're going to reveal?
Well, no. We've got stuff in the works. And it's, we've begun recording and new songs, and we've been writing. Me and Patrick have been writing. We've had a couple of jamming sessions, and we kind of, it's back to the drawing board a bit, but we're still concentrating on integrating Callum and Ali, the bassist and the drummer, obviously, and seeing what they can bring to the band as well. And so far they've brought plenty to the table. So
fantastic. Yeah. Now we'll hopefully get to speak to you again with the other guys to talk about Streetlight another time, but we're now running out of time. But we're going to end with one of the tracks that you've recently released, Kingston. Now, can you tell us a wee bit about that before we go and play it in under 60 seconds?
Okay, Kingston is basically, I that's where I lived in Canada. That's where I went to university, so I have a lot of fond memories from there. And this track is again it's one of those peaceful tracks that is just nice to listen to, just kind of nice to chill out to, and it has a bit of a kick like halfway through, which is kind of nice, and combining kind of electronic and acoustic sounds as well. So
fantastic.
That's a winner.
And Sombrero, it's soundcloud.com/Sombreroville. I've actually got that one right.
That's right. Perfect.
And there'll be a link to your Facebook page as well on there as well.
Absolutely, there is. Yes, and please like it and spread the word. I tell you what, Facebook's great, but there's no match for the power of the word of mouth. That's the way to go.
Fantastic. Ross, thanks very much for coming on to the Friday Night Lounge.
My pleasure, Matthew.